Welcome back.
Everybody, we got a special guest.
Oh, we got a real special guest for y'all today. I mean, a world traveler. Something everywhere. Today, we have none other than a drum roll, Miss Shaniqua Fields.
Hello, everybody.
Hey.
Thanks for having me, guys.
Yeah, so look, let me start by saying thanks for taking the time out of your extra busy schedule to join us. Come kick it with Jay and Ted on the Salesforce saga. But before I talk a lot, before I get into it, why don't you tell us a little bit of something about yourself, Just kind of an introduction for the people.
Yeah, something fun and not something that most people in the Salesforce ecosystem know. I am a reptile parent. I have 3 snakes. I have a Kenyan sand boa, a boa imperator, which is a common red tail, but the cheaper version, and then a ball python. So a lot of people do not know that about me, but I love outdoors. I love nature. I go camping, all of the good things. So.
Oh, nice. Look, I tried to be a reptile parent once. I was a little kid though, and I used to frequent the pet store, and someone brought a grass snake and they brought it back to the store, and the guy was like, I can't take it back. Do you want it? So I'm like, sure, I want it. So now when I say a kid, I probably was about 10. So I got this grass snake and I go back home. And I know my mom didn't really do snakes. So I kind of snuck it in the house, put it in the fish tank and stuff. No water, just, a habitat. I got it going. So I'm taking the snake out, playing with it. My mom comes in the room, sees that snake, and you can kind of imagine how it went from there. Long story short, I had to take the snake back to the store. Like immediately. Like it was either I stay home, I go live at the pet store with the snake. So
that sounds like my home grown up.
Yeah. So it was wild. We do have none other than the great Ted Hazard with us. He's not doing the normal amount of traveling that he's doing as well. So thanks for joining us, Ted.
Yeah, no travel here, but I took care of a friend's snake in college, and that snake would somehow escape out of the little container, the fish tank you called it, and it would just be in the room somewhere, and so I'd have to come home and just find it. It was terrifying.
That room would have been that snake's room the first time he got out. I can promise you that. So, Shaniqua, career path wise, tell us about your career path, how you got into Salesforce, things like that. What you got?
I'll give the quick journey. I actually joined Salesforce in 2020. It was just, I first discovered Salesforce when my sister was letting me know that that the military was sending her to Texas to study, and I had to plant sit for her. So she was letting me know I'm going to be gone for a week. And so she went away and she came back and she was like, I really think you could do this. Just give me a few weeks so I can pass my exam and then you can get started. And so her reasoning behind me being able to do it was she saw a system that I used, not like Salesforce, but because I was able to navigate it so well, she was like, oh, you could do this. And so I jumped on board with studying it, and I studied for a few months. I took my first exam and failed. I took my second exam and failed. Continued studying some more. Took a third exam, failed. By the 4th month of me studying and going hard from June to August, I got the opportunity to interview for a role. And I interviewed for that role and became a junior admin for them. And on the job, I took the exam a couple more times and failed. But by the 8th month of me working, I took it on my 7th try and I passed. It was crazy. So I do believe 7 is the number of completion and just, full circle, all of that. And so once I got the admin cert under my belt, I kept working and I just felt so unorganized. I felt like we were just drowning. And what I know now is we were in a lot of technical debt. And my manager at the time just kept adding on projects.
Yeah, they like to do that.
Yeah.
They like to do that.
Well, I was pushed into like a BA and PM role in that at that company,
Hmm.
because I was the one who was always speaking up about what's realistic and what's not, letting them
Yeah.
know, like, you got junior admins here, you got, you know, there needs to be some time, and there's no one teaching us, but you're expecting us to do this. Then
Yeah.
we get scolded for working till midnight because you're not going to pay us more, but you still need these things done.
Hmm.
So I started looking up Scrum and Agile, and I kept seeing it on LinkedIn. So I ended up taking the Scrum Master certification and the course, and I passed. And we went in November to try to plan for the following year.
Hmm.
And I had my two coworkers and myself, we were in a room planning out for the year, putting all of our work in order. We got it down to where I was like, okay, well, we could split this up. So one person can have a huge project in January, we cover the other schools, the next person, and then the next person February or March. So
Okay.
we were happy with that. And my manager came in and she was like, Shaniqua, I know you did your little agile thing, but that's not going to work here, literally.
Wow.
And she was like, we would love to be agile, but we're not there yet. And I already committed to these deadlines. So for me, it kind of hurt my feelings that I felt like there was a clear path for us to not be mentally stressed out. And she wasn't picking up on that.
Yeah.
And so I was blessed to be interviewing for that next month. I was blessed to be interviewing for a PM role. And so I did that role, got it, worked for a year, got laid off. And it took me almost 9 months to get solid work. I just started back working in August of last year. But in the meantime, I ended up getting my PMP. I was speaking at conferences, bringing more light to the project management world, just because it was my newfound love. It was me.
Yeah.
I'm mostly an organized person. I'm an on-time person. I like to be realistic, and I just kind of became the PM that I wished I had at my old company. I never overestimate for my resources. I let them do the estimations, and then I go back to the client or to the team to discuss what we come up with. But I think that's the best way to describe where I am now, is I basically became the PM I would have hoped for.
Okay, so you're at the stage of kicking butt and taking names now. At first, you were just at the stage of, hey, I'm joining the party, you know, I'm getting my training in. But now you're like championship belt. Don't cross me. I slay all projects.
Yeah, I love the hype. I'm still learning, but I do love it. And my resources love that I have their back. And my clients do too. I do have my clients' backs as well, as far as what they should get from what they paid for and things of that nature. But it's it for me. It's what I love. It comes naturally. I have ADHD, and it's not necessarily affecting it in that way, mostly because I'm a verbal processor and I get to talk it out with my clients or my
Mm-hmm.
resources. So it
Okay.
just kind of fits.
Okay, awesome.
Do you have a PM or BA background before this, or?
So technically, yes, but I didn't know that it was PM. So much so
Yeah.
I came from private chef, catering world, and event planning. So yes, and I did
Okay.
it for myself as well as
Yeah.
other companies. And I reached out to my old manager and I said, hey, I'm updating my resume and this is what I did. And can I say that I was, this? And he was like, absolutely, you were. And he was like, just let them call me. I'll give you a recommendation. I
Yeah.
don't think it's ever come to that, but that experience helped me learn that I could do it. I've already done it. And yeah.
And
Yeah.
that's the case in a lot of things we do too, right?
Oh, me too. Big time.
Yeah, like we'll be in a role and we'll be doing things not knowing that
Right.
we're doing pretty much performing the responsibilities of another role, whether parallel or even a layer up.
Oh,
And then we get into those scenarios where it's
yeah.
like,
I've
you,
invented all these things, that come to find out other people already did it 30 years ago. But in my mind, we should organize ourselves this way. Like I am brilliant. I'm like, everyone else has been doing it.
yeah.
Yeah. You kind of learn. You learn as you go.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that is indeed true. And Look, you said something interesting. Well, look, I'm gonna jump back first. I want to jump. I want to roll back because you brought up your experience
Mhm.
with taking the certifications, right? You
Yes.
said 7 is the lucky number, and so what? And you also mentioned studying for quite some time, and I'm in a similar scenario to where I've been studying to prep for kind of the admin cert that my big mouth got me in trouble for, you know.
Mhm. Sure.
It's coming down, countdown.
Yeah, it is quick. And so I'm in a similar scenario and I find myself studying pretty heavily. And then of course life happens, right? Life is gonna life. That's what it does. And I
Yep.
find myself not being able to study as much as I'd like to. And as a result, I've set some personal deadlines on when I wanted to get this done. And some of those deadlines have slipped. And I'm kind of along the lines of you as to I'm organized, and when I set something, like that's my go-to. So once I get past it, I have to kind of jump back on that railroad and not overdo it. So, I mean, in saying all that, what are some of the things that you found that helped you to continue to go back and go back? Because in some cases, folks will get discouraged, right?
Yes. For me, it was I had nothing to go back to. So it was either go forward and fail trying and failing forward, or stay stagnant where I am. And that's not my life. That's not who I am. I will make a way out of no way. And
Mm-hmm.
for me, studying, just to give you some tips on life happening, you don't have to study for 8 hours a day. Just a good 15 or 30 minutes that your brain is wide awake and not distracted with anything else.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
That makes more sense. A good 15 to 30 minutes a day versus you being tired and pushing yourself to do 2 hours where you're not going to pick up on anything past the first half hour. Why are you killing yourself? Why are you
Mm-hmm.
beating yourself up? That fresh mind, giving yourself grace as being human as well. You just have to keep going. And a little 30 minutes of positive study beats not doing it at all.
Mm-hmm. I
So
agree.
you're going to retain something. And then with going down the admin path, this tip where I finally passed was Tiffany Spencer. She said, when you go down the exam outline, if you can't speak just freely on the subtopics in that section, then that piece is what you need to study. There's nothing on the exam that's not in the outline. So if you can speak to every point, every target for this is for any Salesforce exam, if you're able to speak to any of the points just randomly, you have all of this information and you're able to speak to what it is, you're studying to be able to regurgitate in that moment to pass the exam. You're not studying to say that you know all of Salesforce, you know all of these things. People have been doing it for 15 years and can't go and pass that exam. It's just because it's
Mm-hmm.
a mindset that you have to be in to pass Salesforce exams. And I feel like Salesforce asks the questions not for you to know what's correct. It asks the questions in a way for you to understand why this answer is wrong. So
Mm-hmm.
if you have the outline down pat, now I don't know it because it's so far away, but I only needed it for that one pass, which I got. But I
Mm-hmm.
mentor people and I give them that tip all the time because it seemed like it just clicked for me. Once I got it that I'm just studying to regurgitate and I'm giving good time, good 30 minutes, half hour a day, or an hour a day if I'm feeling up to it. And
Mm-hmm.
I'm going down my topics. If I can't speak to it, then I'm going to look up that topic, do a trail or something to get me to that, reread anything. But that's what helped me.
Oh, awesome. Look, I mentally logged a lot of that. I'm one of those sponge type people where I want to know all the information as much as I can, as much as I can. But in doing that, this old hard drive, I probably only got about half a gig left up there. So we gonna see how that half a gig play
Yeah,
out. So
make it
we'll
work.
see.
Make it
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Now, Ted, you did mention that you wanted to ask a couple questions around, I think, Egypt, Cairo,
Yeah,
things like
I
that.
I'm
Mm.
Shaniqua and I met at Florida Dreaming last
Yeah.
year, And I love going to dreaming events and Salesforce events because you can meet really cool people, and you just
Hey, I'm gonna cut you off. I'm gonna
yeah.
cut you off because you just dropped something, and there's a unique story in there too. So you and Shaniqua met at Salesforce in Florida, right? The
Yeah.
conference in Florida.
Yeah.
However, y'all came to know that y'all knew a mutual person, a mutual person. To kind of elaborate on how that came about and who it is that you guys knew.
I'll let
You know, I don't. Shaniqua, help me out. Like I remember you and I and William. It was through William, probably, right? So like I met William, who I know that you have spoken with. You spoke with at Florida Dreaming, and have spoken for user groups and things like that. And I think William was probably just going on and on about the Pittsburgh Steelers and how great they are. And I'm just like, come on, man! Like I'm a Patriot fan. What is wrong? So it kind of went down something like that, and I don't know. Then we started taking pictures because you had that great Halloween costume.
Oh yeah,
you had the makeup, and I don't know. One thing led to another, and you want to finish the story? What's the connection?
Yeah. So what happened? What we noticed was William is mentoring your wife, Jay. And I was mentored by William. And then we were sitting here where Ted was reaching out to you so that y'all could connect. And so we had basically this full connection where me and William met at Dreaming in Color, the first one. And I was there when you made your bold statement at the end about, oh, I'm going to speak and I'm going to have my admin cert, all of that. So it was like just a full circle of us all being connected, and no clue that, Ted, I didn't know you, but I knew William, but I didn't know that we were intertwined together that way. So it was interesting. We sat for a minute over good food and was chatting, and it was a small world.
Yes.
Small, big world.
Yeah, and it's so fascinating that those things can happen, and so that's why I really wanted to ask you about your most recent dreaming event that you went to, the Cairo Dreaming. Like
Cairo Dreaming, yes. I'm still like
amazing.
I can't believe I went, but I went and I was able to speak. The conference itself was beautiful. You know how the dreaming events go. But I did get the feeling in Cairo almost similar, almost close to my first Dreaming in Color event. But I think because Dreaming in Color happened first, that wow factor kind of went with Dreaming in Color. But in Egypt, you met a very diverse crowd. We had people from France, people from Canada, people from Egypt, people from America. It was very diverse, and everybody was so nice and so helpful. We ended up, I met some people that I hadn't even known, but we kind of meshed together and stuff and took pictures together or for each other. They had a couple things that was better than any other dreaming event that I went to, only because I don't think that this has happened. But there was a speaker dinner on the Nile River. That's history in itself.
Whoa.
Yep. So we had this boat. It was like a boat cruise thing, but it didn't move. I don't know, but we were on the water. So it was beautiful. We were able to smoke shisha, which I do not do hookah, but for some way I tried the shisha and it was like so calming and wasn't harsh on my throat. I don't like to smoke because I feel like my baby throat, but I was able to enjoy the shisha and feel calm with, basically it was like a big old party for your colleagues, like that you don't even know that you had. So it was just great. And then I was also able to see how kind Sharif was. And who's technically the CEO of my company where I work. And just to see him in action and see everybody around him, it's almost like it's contagious. The spirit that you have when you're at these events. And for someone as great as Sharif, how it rolled down to everybody involved with the conference, all of the people, all of us. And it was a long day. Like the speakers had to be up or out by 7 or something like that to get to where we needed to be for the conference. So they took like
Hmm.
2 buses, and then we didn't get home
Wow.
till almost 8, or back to the hotel until almost 8. But we didn't even feel drained. It was just, you
Hmm.
felt so full of the
Yeah.
energy, full of, what we were there to learn. And I got great positive feedback on my session there. It was a highly attended session, is what Huva said it was. I personally think it was just some people tired and didn't want to switch rooms to the next meeting. But who knows? It went well, and they asked a lot of great questions. And um, coming back around, when I was out catching some of the sun, I had to thaw out. I'm cold natured. I'm in Florida, and I still have on a hoodie. But I went outside to kind of thaw off a little bit, and these 2 girls came up to me, and I was like, "We've been to a couple sessions since yours, and we think yours was the best so far." And
Oh, that's great.
so yeah, I'm typically a bubbly, cheery person. I'll make a joke out of
Mhm.
anything. So I think that kind of comes out in some of my speeches and everything for these dreaming events. But
Okay.
yep, it was.
So we're gonna try and get a link to that prezzo that you did out in Cairo to see if
I
we
don't, I
can
don't think they did. I think they took pictures, but I don't think, like any of them, I don't think they have the budget for full on recording of every session. But oh man, it was definitely a conference to attend. So I'm
That's
Yeah,
happy
hear
amazing.
to have
that, Ted?
been there.
We need
How
to
was
do
the
an episode
food?
in
How was the
Cairo
food,
at the
Shaniqua?
Oh
next
my
Dreaming in
God.
Cairo, my friend.
The food was so good. I did go out of the box and try pigeon. And
Oh,
because it's I don't want to say a delicacy, but they treat their pigeons so well. Like, you can go around town and see they give them proper care. They have these houses for them, and breed them and
oh,
feed them like way good so they could get fat. But it was it really did taste like chicken to me. So
But you also said one other thing too around the atmosphere being contagious.
yeah.
And I can kind of attest to that because the Dreaming event last year in Riley, that was my first one. That was I want to say my wife's first one, that I believe. And I I think I called it out on a previous episode. Like, I wasn't even in the ecosystem, but just the energy that was there and the positivity and the way that people spoke about Salesforce, like it just almost kind of engulfs you to where you're like, heck yeah, I'm not in the ecosystem, but I'm gonna be there, you know. And and me and my big mouth, I think that energy kind of helped, kind of played into that, and I was set up by one of my wife's former coworkers, but we're gonna leave that alone. We'll leave that alone.
It
Yeah,
was
yeah.
great, and it was very bold. I appreciated seeing that, and it's amazing to know how life changing just studying something for free could be.
Hmm.
I It literally changed my life. I was on my last leg, no fallback plan or anything, and here I am mentoring people to come into the ecosystem. You'll think I'm talking about a cult sometimes, as excited as I am about it. But
Yeah.
oh man.
So
so,
that was Dreaming in Cairo. Ted, I think we got another Dreaming event coming up, right? Isn't it one
um,
coming up in June?
well,
Oh.
oh, the
Huh?
big one. Yeah, of course, the big one. Yeah. No,
Oh, well,
my head was going to the Salesforce World Tour in Boston. I mean, in New York, which is coming up. But yeah, of course, Dreaming in Color coming up in New Orleans. Man,
I
I'm
can't
super
wait.
excited. Shaniqua and I were talking before the recording about the food, and just being people that really like food, being able to go to New Orleans and experience that. We need you to help set us up, Jay.
but yeah, look, if you don't get nothing else, you're gonna have to get a hot sausage po' boy. I vouch for the hot sausage po' boy. I'm telling you.
Oh
And
my
we're gonna get one off Broad and Banks. It's a shop over on Broad and Banks, man. Oh, and you can get it like 32 inches long. Then you walking out there holding it like a log. I'm telling you, you eat it for like days. It just
How,
sit out. You be like, I'm still gonna eat it.
Jay, how's the pigeon po' boy? Is that
I mean,
no?
never had no pigeon. That'll be a first for me. That's why I say we have to go to Cairo because
Okay.
all the pigeons I see locally, I would not want to eat them.
God.
I
Wouldn't
can't
either,
do it.
but if you
Can't
saw
do
how
it.
they took care of them, you're
Mhm.
like, oh my gosh. And so I just did it.
I would have done it too.
Yeah, I try almost anything. I'm a foodie, so I'll try anything at least once. I can't wait to go to Thailand just to do a street food tour and try all the things I would never eat here.
Oh yeah. Yeah. That sounds like someone else I know. If we,
I might not do that.
Cricket and everything. So I know. But
Anthony Bourdain and there's some stuff out there.
Ted, you can do it. I believe in you.
Yeah.
But for the June event, are you having any sessions during that event?
Yes, I'll be speaking. It's me and two others. We're doing a fireside chat. And I think everyone is going to they're going to want to join. We're going to be raw. There's no script, there's no slides. It's just mostly conversation. And we're going to tap into a really good topic. That's all I'm going to say.
Okay, so be sure that when you guys are running through the sessions, seeing which ones you're going to attend, that you do find that one with Shaniqua in it. She just gave you the lowdown.
Yep. It's basically about almost like what I was talking about with the exam of failing forward and turning, stumbling blocks into stepping stones. So,
Yep. Ted, something you want to ask?
Yeah, well, you had mentioned before about how you're a type of person that is moving forward, failing or just not failing, like just always moving forward. That's your natural inclination. So what's next for you? Like what does your forward path look like? I know you've really become really prolific in speaking. There's a lot of opportunities that you've had and continue to have, so that must be a lot of fun. But beyond that, are there other events or just new things that are on the horizon for you?
Well, I do want to attend Midwest Dream, and I haven't attended yet. But as far as career-wise, it'll just be up in project management. I don't see me going into anything else. It just kind of fits who I am. But I could go up to like senior project manager or something like that. But my life is dedicated to lifelong learning. If I don't learn something new or try something new, I'll probably get bored. And I can't even watch TV now. I'm just constantly trying to learn something new or anything to keep my brain going, because the world is changing and I don't want to be left behind by not knowing certain things, whether it be learning about AI or anything like that. Right. I don't want to be left behind, and it's useful. I know it takes me longer to grasp things, so I want to get ahead of it and start before anyone else, tells me it's due, because then I'll have that imposter syndrome trying to get it done on their timeline instead of mine. So I try to beat everyone and keep going.
Okay, look, that's awesome. And I know that we've covered a lot of Salesforce stuff, got a lot of heavy topics. I like to keep it light a lot of times. See, Ted's the super serious one. Look at that look on his face. Ted's like, me, I got this smile going. I'm trying to, So you mentioned being a foodie. Mm-hmm. What's the weirdest thing you've ever eaten?
Probably the pigeon.
Pigeon. Oh, okay. So you haven't eaten it any bugs, anything like that?
No, but I will. I'll do crickets. I'll even eat a rat. I don't care as long as properly cooked. I'm not scared. Just don't put any beets in front of me and I'm good.
Oh, beets is your kryptonite. Okay. I asked because my wife, she's the same way, and she's eating crickets, grasshoppers, little worm-looking things, and now she wants to try this tarantula burger. There's a tarantula burger that's and I saw a picture of it. It's just a big spider on some bread. I already don't like spiders walking around, so last thing I'm going to do is eat one, So I just I don't know, but we'll see. Have you done crawfish? I know you've done crawfish.
Yeah, I do all kinds of seafood. I'm from the Low Country, so that's what we did. Low Country boils, all kinds of stuff.
I gotta have crawfish because from Maine we had the big crawfish, the lobster.
Yeah,
I want the small ones, the little baby ones.
Look, we'll be getting plenty in June. Jay's gonna take us to all the best.
Yeah. And Ted, look, this will be your first time peeling a crawfish, huh?
It will, yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
I'm into the cast soon.
Yeah, we break open our lobsters, we shuck oysters, we do that sort of stuff, but I have not done the whole crawfish thing. So
Now, do you do spicy?
yeah, oh yeah, yep,
Okay, all right. Well, look, you're fine. You're good. You're
yep,
good. All right.
yeah.
So,
I'm not like I'm not a ghost pepper like fire eater, but I like spicy. You know what I'm saying.
You're gonna have to record Ted eating crawfish for the first time and show it to the people.
Most definitely. We want to see this. I want to this. And Ted, you're gonna have to get one of them big hot sausage sandwiches I told you about too, man.
This might be the whole season. Ted eating New Orleans, right?
Yeah.
Yep, I'll join you, Ted. I'll join you.
Hey, look, that sounds like a plan, and we're gonna have a crew, so we're definitely gonna do some restaurant hopping while we're down. But outside of being a foodie, Shaniqua, like what else do you do in your downtime? Like when you're just trying to chill out and relax your brain a bit.
If I'm in town, I chill out in my room. But most of the time I am mentoring or something in the ecosystem, whether it be someone trying to get into it or needing help with practicing interview, a resume look over or something. But when I'm away on vacation, I like to be by the water, out in nature. I do travel a lot, I'm a travel bug. I'm not from really anywhere in particular in my adult life. I don't really have a home to go back to, so I just go explore the world. It's my oyster, so I like to travel.
All right. So, and you mentioned mentoring a couple times. So, how would someone that's looking to be mentored get in contact with you? Like, for instance, if I were looking to get Ted mentored, how would Ted go about getting in touch with you, or even
are you part of an organization that does mentoring and provides mentees and mentors?
Yeah, right now I'm on the Trailblazer mentorship. It's from it's not Salesforce because Salesforce doesn't have one anymore, but it's the Talent Stacker one. So I got accepted. I applied and got accepted to be a mentor there. So I get mentees assigned to me at that point. And just in any rotation, no matter if it's personal, like them reaching out to me on LinkedIn, or just random, I try to keep it to 3 at a time that I'm actively working with or keeping up with. But it's been fun. No matter what it is, people say I inspire them sometimes just with my story, or they like the input. I'm also a huge advocate for women advocating for their price, their pay, negotiating the right pay for them, knowing what you should be asking for. We as women, a lot of the time, we put everything in this bucket of, oh, I'm just doing my job, I'm just doing my job. But no, it's not just your job, because somebody else wouldn't be doing what you're doing. They'll probably only do this, or so it's like it's funny, and I'm talking to them as much as myself on knowing your worth and knowing that it's okay to ask for more if you don't feel like you're getting what you deserve, especially with the market. My ex-coworker from when I worked at my first job, I found out that she was getting paid the same amount as me. And she had 2 years of consulting experience under her belt, and she had a couple certifications. I know she at least had her admin cert and was working on more. And I went to my boss and said, hey, she needs to either have another title or more money. I'm okay with even giving her some of mine, just because I don't feel that it's fair that we're getting paid the same amount, and she has way more experience than me. She was younger than me too, but she was super smart, and I just felt like I needed to say something. And I told her she was stressing herself out. Great talent, great talent. And she was technically being used for her talent, not being paid her worth. But she did end up getting paid. She got a $10,000 raise and a title change.
Wow.
So she was super happy about that. And it wasn't planned, but when I left to the next company as a PM, I also referred her, and she got hired there and basically got a $40,000 raise. So,
Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome. And I mean, you touch on a very good point around the pay, right? And one of the things, I mean, when you look at the corporate world, this is me probably going on a sandbox. So, but when you look at the corporate world and the way it's structured, it's really almost taboo to talk about pay.
Right.
Like, you know, like you have a coworker, a good friend, you guys probably talk about everything except, hey, I get paid this much, that much. And I found myself in a similar situation as well, where I was working a role. I know I'd be in a bunch of different situations, but I was working a role, and the year before, we had a set of interns came in, and I was mentoring those interns because they were part of my team, kind of lead managing, kind of, you know, going through the whole delivery process. And then they brought those interns on, and we were rocking along. And some kind of way, you know, we started talking about pay, and the interns were actually getting paid more than me. And I'd been on the job probably about, I want to say at that point in time, about 5 or 6 years.
wow.
Yeah. So at that point in time, that's when Jeremiah became Jay. That's my alter ego, and that's the person that is willing to have those crunchy conversations. And I say this to everyone out there: don't be afraid to have those crunchy conversations when it comes to things like that. To the point that Shaniqua made a little bit earlier, know your worth and the value that you're delivering to the company, and be able to articulate that value. So I do encourage everyone to do that. And another thing, if your company has a performance review process, which most do, do make sure that you're taking the extra time and extra steps to articulate beginning of the year what your goals are, how you plan to achieve them, and what success looks like. And don't do this in a vacuum. My strategy was, okay, now I know that this is how this works. This is the parameter for which we're being measured. Prior to beginning of the year, I'm sitting down with my manager to say, hey, okay, if we're using a 9-block scale to rate employees, what do I have to do to get a 9? Okay. Right. And you can't tell me it's solve world hunger. Tell me what I have to do to get a 9. So I put the onus on them, right, to set what the standard is. They articulate that, well, hey, we need you to do more of this, that, and the other. Okay, I don't have an issue with doing that. Now you need to give me an opportunity to do those things, because you can't tell me you want me to do this, but never present me with an opportunity to do it, because then I'm always going to fall short. I'm never going to hit that goal because I don't have an opportunity to do that.
Yeah, the finish line is out of reach if you don't
so make sure that when you are having those conversations, that one, you get a clear understanding on what the expectations are of you, right? And I'm going to be quite frank, doing your normal job, BAU stuff, is not going to get you a 9. It is typically, or is not going to get you that high rating. It's about going above and beyond, showing that initiative and all those things. So that's going to be baked in there. But you have to push to ensure that you have an opportunity to pursue those things. So that's kind of my the more you know moment for the cast. You know? So. Yeah. But look, we touched on heavy stuff. Go ahead, Ted. I'm sorry I cut you off, my friend.
Yeah, no, I was just going to say, like, I think that just kind of wraps things kind of back up to what we were talking about earlier, and might be a perfect way to end the episode about, like, the power of the community. Like, we just got to some really real conversation there, and that happens when you meet people and then you feel comfortable talking. And here we are, like, online talking, getting real. Imagine what it's like when you're at a conference and you're getting to know people and you're sitting down, you get to see them on day 2, and you're making connections, you're building mentorships, all those things that Shaniqua was talking about with mentorships and knowing people and failing and moving forward. That's all that gets you to this point. If you're not doing those things, you don't get to this point. So that's the big takeaway for me, I think. Thank you, Shaniqua.
So, Shaniqua, to Ted's point, it's just about time that we close the episode down. But if there was one thing you wanted everyone in the world to know, because we got like 1 million subscribers that watch this thing, what would that one thing be?
I would say the sky is not the limit. I think that a lot of people, well, society and everything, we're all kind of restricted by whatever our societal views are, or what was given to us to reach for. And for me, the sky isn't the limit. I want to go above and beyond. I want, whatever I want out of this world. And I do believe it comes back to me, whatever I put out into the world. So I try to be kind to everyone, and I continue learning, and I learn from every opportunity, which means every time I'm interacting with someone, no matter what level they're in, even the homeless people that I go and donate food to, I treat everybody with respect. You never know who you're going to need or who can possibly help you. And I wouldn't be where I was in the ecosystem had I not reached out, had I not gone past my sister, had I not attended events, dreaming events to network with these people. And I truly value and mean the relationships that I set forth in the Trailblazer community. It's always genuine. It's always what I want it to be. I put out, but yeah, the sky is not the limit.
You heard it, folks. The sky is not the limit. And with that,
I love that.
we're going to wrap up another awesome episode of Jay, Ted, and the Salesforce Saga. That being the case, we'll see you all next week. Signing off.
Thank you, Shaniqua.
Bye.
Bye.